If it does, test was far from over. Bob McGill and Kevin McClellan ignited a powder keg for what would be the first of several main events at the Gardens last night. Moments later, Wendell Clark and Craig McTavish squared off, an acrobatic slugfest with Clark doing most of the slugging.
Clark suckered McTavish right off the bat, and he was hurt. So he was on the ice, and Clark, he wasn't trying to fight him, he was trying to hurt him. And, I mean, you hurt somebody like that in hockey, and you shouldn't be in hockey. And that kid has got a lot to learn. He's tough, he's a good hockey player, but he's not very smart.
It's a little embarrassing, but what can you say? It's part of the game.
But is it part of the game, though, to have to take a beating with the linesmen standing around and being spectators?
Well, I don't know. If they could have got in, I'm sure they would have. And I don't have any gripes with the linesmen, that's for sure. It's a tough situation for me, but hey, you just got to stand up and take it.
There were clearly many times when it could have ended, where he could have left off pummeling you.
Well, again, what can you say?
Nobody sent Clark out to do any fighting. He got involved with McTavish, and I'm sure McTavish had another way to go. He wouldn't have fought either. But,
but that's not his style.
Clark's or McTavish?
No, McTavish.
McTavish's been known to do all right in fights. There's no question about that. He played for the big Boston club, so.
But he wasn't there because he was a big fighter.
No, I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying at all. And I certainly don't want Clark going out punching people around. I don't want that at all. He got into a fight, and it's not the first one he's in, and I don't suppose it'll be his last one.
Meanwhile, the always compatible Jim Corn was taking an earful at the Oiler bench. Certainly lots of friends over there. From the Two is Company Three's a crowd department. Russ Courtnall joins the fray with Mark Messier doing a number on Steve Thomas. Courtnall and Thomas appear in great shape until Grant Fuhr gets involved, and so too Alan Bester. Hulk Hogan, eat your heart out. But Mr. Courtnall was far from finished. He helps out Bill Root. Root and Steve Smith were sharing a dance card along with Al Iafrate and Yeri Curry. In all, 250 minutes and penalties, an 8-2 Edmonton victory. And with 3 games between these clubs this season, there could be more.
The tactics. And, I mean, I don't think that the game needs it. I don't think Toronto needs it. I know Edmonton doesn't need it. We haven't been involved in very many of those things in the last 5 years, and
you don't have to
there's any way.
Before the game got completely out of hand, everyone on the ice squared off. Wendell Clark and Craig McTavish in the main bout. While that was going on, Jim Corn tried to get at the Oilers bench. After a 15-minute delay, play resumed, but only for a few seconds. The fighting started again. This time the goalies got involved. When this bout was finally over, John Brophy was very lonely on the Leafs bench. He had 5 skaters and only 1 substitute. As a result,
it was Wendell night in Canada. Wendell Clark and those lovable Leafy teammates took on the Edmonton Oilers in what can best be described as an exchange of ideas, or perhaps it was a strength test for some new acrylic fibers. Whatever it was, it amassed 250 minutes in penalties between the Oilers and the Leafs in the third period of Edmonton's 8-2 win. By the end of the third period, there was no one left on the bench to play. And afterwards, the talk was almost as tough as the fighting.
The current rule calls for an extra penalty to be given to an aggressor in a fight, but it is a discretionary call, and as such has not been used as